Stetson FCA, but it's really repetitive, so you guys should be able to pick up on it really easily. of God. Amen. You know, because how many of us know that God is our Father and He loves us so much? You unravel me with a melody. You surround me with a song of deliverance from my enemies, till all my fears are gone. I'm no longer a slave to fear. Woo! I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. My mother's womb, you have chosen me. Love has called my name. I've been born again into your family. Your blood flows through my veins. I've been born again into your family. Your blood flows through my veins. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. I am surrounded by the arms of the Father, by His sons and daughters. Let us sing our freedom. I am surrounded by the arms of the Father, His sons and daughters. Let us sing our freedom. Lord God. We thank you that when we worship, you meet us, God. We thank you that you have us gather up here together, Lord, to just hear this word from Mark, God. And I just pray that every single one of us would just be able to receive that word, no matter how we feel about God or what we think of Him. That we would just receive this word and just take it with us, Lord. So I just thank you for tonight. Thank you for your love. Thank you that you love every single one of us so much. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
And he actually used to play basketball here, and now he's in Orlando again, and he's a businessman, and he's definitely helped me in a lot of places as far as just growing in leadership and with life. And I don't really spend a bunch of time with him, but like the short times that I do, he's definitely impacted me. So I know that tonight is going to be a very impactful night for you guys. So I hope you guys are here and have ears to hear, because you guys are definitely going to want to take some of this stuff with you. So right now I'm just going to introduce Mark Thompson, and you guys just give him a warm welcome. So.
All right, Stetson University. How we doing? All right, so I love the worship here. It's a lot of fun. And I was listening to the worship song, and they referenced lion. Our God is a lion, right? The Lion of Judah. I mean, you know what a lion is? I mean, have you seen any lion clips lately? I mean, that is a fierce creature. And sometimes it's not what the Bible says, but what the Bible doesn't say. It doesn't say caribou, it doesn't say zebra. It's not the salad bar, the safari. It says lion, right? That's a fierce creature. We talked about the second song, that I see the face of God, right? I see the face of God. Isaiah saw the face of God. And what did he say? Woe is me, for I'm a man of unclean lips, I live among a people of unclean lips. Translation, when you see the face of God, you are changed. You are completely changed. You cannot see the face of God and not be completely changed. You sung a couple of great songs tonight. And what I love about worship, if you look at, say, Joshua, right? Worship, a lot of people don't realize this, is a weapon. Because when Joshua took the city, he marched around the city 7 times. And what did they do at the 7th time? They blew the trumpets. What do? They worshipped. And when you worship, walls fall down. Walls fall down. So when you come in here, don't just turn the brain off and sing a couple of songs. There's power in music, there's power in worship, and there's power in lyrics. You've got to understand those things. If Stetson FCA will come together as one and worship God on this campus, you can rock this campus. I don't know how many people are here, 80, 90, 100, I don't care. It takes 3 or 4. It takes 3 or 4. It takes 3 or 4 people that don't care what anyone thinks. You've got to be completely unfazed. Unfazed. You've got to be completely unfazed. It's kind of an interesting night for me. 20 years ago, I walked through that door as a freshman. 20 years ago. That's right. We had power, we had everything. It's still the same place. It looks a lot the same. 20 years ago, I walked on this campus as a freshman. I got proof. You have that photo? This was taken 20 years ago. I'm not going to tell you which one I am. And I'm not going to tell you who had the least amount of plays out of the basketball team either. That's Van, that's Santos, and that's Will Robertson, and that's yours truly. That picture is 20 years old. That's an artifact, y'all. An artifact. 20 years ago, I walked through that door as a freshman. I know what it's like to be a freshman. You're nervous. You're the big guy on campus. At one point, a big girl on campus. Now you know. Right? Now you don't know where anything is. Now you know. I remember what it's like to walk through as a sophomore. I'm not a freshman anymore. Right? I had people that are like, oh, he's kind of cute. All that kind of stuff. I'm a sophomore. Then you walk in as a junior. I'm not a sophomore anymore. You're like the lion as a safari. This is your campus. Seniors. I remember what it's like to walk through as a senior. I was ready to go, right? I can prove it to you. How many seniors are in this room? How many seniors in this room, right? You're ready to go. You're ready to get out there. And guess what you turn into when you become in the real world? You're a freshman again. You're a freshman. You get to swim with the real sharks like me. It's time to swim, y'all. Don't go to 17th grade. Graduate. Go. Get on. Get on. So I graduated from Stetson. I went to South Carolina. Was a small amount of total player coaching basketball at South Carolina. The year before I got there, we were 15 and 16, or at least they were. New coaching staff comes in. We turned that ship around. We went 21 and 11, 24 and 11. So the number one turnaround in NCAA for that year. We had 4 NBA players on that team. Ronaldo Baldwin got drafted 17th by the New York Knicks. One of the players on the team is now the head coach at Oklahoma State. I then took a job at East Carolina University. We didn't win as much there, y'all. We didn't win as much there, but we still had a lot of fun, had a great time. And I spent 2 years at East Carolina, decided to get into business, came back to Orlando, got into real estate, and it is competitive in real estate in Florida. And now I started a tech company, a real estate and tech company. Because that's what you do. That's what you do. You start tech companies. And this is what I learned. This is what I learned. In my years of business and athletics, and high school athletics, college athletics, I'm going to tell you something. This may sound counterintuitive to you. I hate underdogs. I've never liked that story. America loves the underdog story. We love that story of the person that kind of made it. They weren't really that prepared, and all of a sudden, bam, they come out of nowhere. And they're the underdog, and they beat the number 1 seed, right? I like watching the NCAA tournament where the number 1 seed just demolishes the 16th seed. I'm the only person that's like that. I love people that are practiced and work their rear ends off, and they fine-tune their skill set, and they deploy their skill set, and they're victorious.
Yeah.
They're victorious. If you prepare, life will reward you. If you work, life will reward you. Work, don't be an underdog. When I went to South Carolina, our coaching staff was trying to tell our team, hey, it's us against the world. It's us against the world. And that got into our brains. We went 16 and 0, and we're selling out a 24,000 seat arena. Now it's us, well, and 24,000 others of us cheering us on. People expected us to win. And guess what? I like that. That was fun. So I tell you that I hate underdogs. And what do you think my favorite story in the Bible is?
David and Goliath.
You really think David and Goliath? You really think so? I hate underdogs. That story's about the underdog. You're right. It's my favorite story. That is my favorite story. I love that story. And I love it for a little bit of a different reason than probably you've ever been taught. I'm going to open up the story for you tonight in like 15 minutes, maybe a little bit more. And I'm going to show you that this story is nothing like you thought it was. And I'm not going to get overly, cinematic and tell you that, that it was somehow it was a crazy story that you don't understand. You don't understand. You're going to understand when you walk out those doors. You with me? You with me? All right, let me set the stage for you. Saul is the king of Israel. Samuel said, you're out, cowboy. You didn't do what I told you to do. You're out. He's anointed David. The Philistines are seafaring people. These guys are savages. They go around and conquer people for a living. That's what they do. They get in their boat, they land on land, and they conquer. They're marching up the Mediterranean. They hit the Mediterranean. They're marching up Israel. They're going to split Jerusalem and Bethlehem. And they're marching through. And they're going through the valleys of Israel, the rolling hills. Those rolling hills turn to large rolling hills. And it's called the Shephelah. And Saul catches wind of this. He hears that the Philistines are coming. And so he takes his tribe and marches to the Shephelah to try to cut them off before they can split Jerusalem and Bethlehem. You understand? These guys are coming. They're coming to take everything. They're going to destroy Israel. Saul gets there, and here's what happens. Saul's at one mountaintop. The Philistines are at another mountaintop. Now, I'm the son of a Vietnam veteran. He got a 2-year free trip to Vietnam. I'm the grandson of a World War II veteran. Flew 68 missions in a B-26. The guy bombed Rome. That's what he did. Okay? I don't know that much about military history, but you know this. You never take an enemy from the lower ground. There you go. That's military history. Summed up in one sentence. Never take an enemy from the lower ground. So what happened was you have a stalemate. Israelites, Philistines, valley underneath. The Philistines are running out of time, or rather the Israelites are running out of time. 40 days goes by. And they decide to go man-on-man battle. That's how we're going to settle this thing. We're not going to have a stalemate. We're going to go man-on-man. So the Philistines, had this 9-foot, 10-foot guy. Archaeology started around 1900. You can look it up on the internet. They have dug up skulls that are literally 3 times the size of your skull. They say it was a giant. It was a literal giant. Archaeology proves there were giants around that time. Internet, search it, 5 minutes. You're done. Giants. All right, so you couldn't do that when I was here. All right, so Essentially, you have giants, and they basically pick Goliath. Goliath is taunting who? Who is he taunting? Is he taunting the Israelites? No. He's taunting the God of Israel. Big difference. Big difference. You can taunt me all you want to. You taunt my God. Different story. So Goliath is marching up and down the way and saying, look, come on. And everyone's scared. Israelites are scared. Saul is scared. He's so scared he's done 3 things. He said, look, someone fight this guy. I'll give you my daughter's hand in marriage. Didn't work. Don't know what she looked like. Didn't work. Second thing, he says, look, I'll give you riches. I will give you riches. Take all the riches. They're like, daughter riches, not worth it. That guy's 9 feet tall. Not playing. I'll give you taxes free for the rest of your life. Not a single person stepped up. Not one. Now, that's where we pick up, and this guy named David. Actually, I said guy. You know how old David was? 8. No, not 8. He's a little older than that. He's a little older. He's about 11 or 12. So don't let anyone tell you that you have to be older to get things done. Mary, 11, 12, 13. David, 11 or 12. Kids were doing big things back then. Kids were doing big things. You guys are 18, 19, 20. Figure it out. Figure it out. So we're going to pick it up in 1 Samuel. Let's see here. Chapter 17. Yes, 31. All right, so David is rushed to the front lines. Samuel 31, 17:31. He's rushed to the front lines, and he's saying, who is this uncircumcised Philistine taunting God? You don't call someone uncircumcised Philistine. Those are fight words right there, all right? Big time fight words. This is what happens. David, 1 Samuel 17:31. When the words which David spoke were heard, they told him that Saul, they told them to Saul, and he sent for him. And David said to Saul, let no man's heart fail on account of him, for your servant will go and fight this Philistine. Then Saul said to David, you're not able to go against this Philistine for you to fight it, but you are but a youth, and he's been a warrior since his youth. This guy has been fighting. Goliath's been fighting since he was a kid. Killing was his business, and business was good. This cat was undefeated. Undefeated, like 120 and up. Right? Started at 12 years old, just knocking people out. But David said to Saul, your servant was tending his father's sheep. When a lion or bear came, he took the lamb from the flock. I went after him and attacked him and rescued him from the mouth. And when he rose against me, I seized him by the beard, struck him, and killed him. Your servant has killed both a lion and a bear. Remember lion? Again, go to like Instagram, look up lions. Bad stuff. All right? Your servant has killed a lion and bear. This uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, since he has taunted the armies of the living God. And David said, the Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear, he will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine. Saul said to David, go and may the Lord be with you. Quite a sales pitch from a 13-year-old right there. Then Saul clothed David with a helmet, with his garments, put a bronze helmet on him, on his head, and he clothed him with armor. And David girded his sword and over his armor and tried to walk. This cat was so loaded down with armor, he said, I can't use this stuff, I haven't tested it. So David said to Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not tested them. And David took them off, and he took with him his stick, and in his hand he chose for him 5 smooth stones. He chose for him 5 smooth stones. Whenever a teacher says something 3 times, it means they're trying to get the point across. He chose for 5 smooth stones from the book. And he put them in the shepherd's bag, which he had even in a pouch. It was a bag within a bag. And he swung his sling in his hand, and he approached the Philistine. One of my favorite verses in all the Bible. I can't read that verse like this. He approached the Philistine. He approached the Philistine. That's an athlete coming out. It comes out. Then the Philistine came on and approached David, with the shield bearer in front of him. When the Philistine looked and saw David, he said with a disdain in his voice, but you are a youth, already of handsome appearance. The Philistine said to David, am I a dog that you come at me with sticks? The Philistine cursed David by his gods. The Philistine also said to David, come to me, and I will give your flesh to the birds of the sky and the beasts of the field. Then David said to the Philistine, you come at me with a sword and a spear and a javelin, but I come to you within the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have taunted. Today it's over, cowboy. That's my translation. This day the Lord will deliver you up into my hands, and I will strike you down, remove your head from you. He's calling his shot. and I will give the dead bodies of your army of the Philistines this day, the birds of the sky and the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is one God, the God of Israel, and that all this assembly may know that the Lord does not deliver by sword or by spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and He will give you into my hands. Pretty confident little 13-year-old, wasn't it? Then it happened. That's what my Bible says. Then it happened. What happened? Then it happened when the Philistine rose and came and drew near to meet David, that David ran quickly. He ran quickly toward the battle line to meet the Philistine. And David put his hand in his bag and took out the stone and slung it. And he struck the Philistine on his forehead, and the stone sank into his forehead. Not only was it a shot that connected, it was a good shot. That's called a swoosh. That's what that means. It sank into his forehead, and so that he fell on his face to the ground. Thus David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone, and he struck the Philistine and killed him. But there was no sword in David's hand. Then David ran and stood over the Philistine and took his own sword. He drew it out from the sheath and he killed him. Cut his head off with it. The end. Game over. Game, set, match. This were a movie, you couldn't show parts of this. Violence. Cursing. All the elements, right? You couldn't show some of that stuff. I remember David was 12, 13. Saw my boy Trevor up there. Think about how big Goliath was. 10 feet tall. How big was that sword? Pretty big sword. The spear, the tip of the spear on Goliath, it tells us earlier, was 45 pounds. If you're carrying a plate, 45-pound plate, that's the tip of Goliath's spear. So imagine the sword at that point. Pretty crazy story. The story of the underdog. Right? Not quite. So what we're going to look at here is this. You have three basic elements. I'm going to fly through this. You have pride. The pride of the Philistines on one hill. You have the fear of the Israelites. And you got courage in the valley. Pride, fear, and courage. Those are the three main elements that make this story up. So let's talk about pride real quick. Tell me something about Goliath. Tell me something that you know, something that's obvious. Tell me something about pride.
He was prideful.
He was prideful? All right, there you go. Good shot. You, sir. You, sir. Yes. Tell me something else. Thought he's better than everyone else. Why did he think that? Because he was. Because he was. That's right, he was. I'm going to go through this myself. He was huge. He was a warrior champion, undefeated. He wore a lot of armor. Right? He had someone else bear his sword and bear his shield. He had a shield bearer. He was in the killing business was good. Other warriors were afraid of him. It wasn't like you were afraid of him, like other warriors were in awe of this guy. He loved to talk. He noticed David's stature. He looked at him and said, "Are you but a boy? Are you a boy?" He fought hand to hand. Remember that. He fought hand to hand. He said, "Come to me." Everything he had was prepared to fight hand-to-hand contact. His eyesight wasn't that good. Remember, he said, "You come at me with sticks." How many sticks did David have? What was the answer? One. Very good. So his eyesight wasn't very good. He expected to fight hand-to-hand. That's different than fighting hand. He expected to fight hand-to-hand. And he had, say it.
Pride.
Yes. He had pride. He had pride. So when I think about this story, I think about Goliath, a lot of confidence. I think about this one story real quick. When I was a kid, probably 4 or 5 years old, I grew up on a farm outside of Georgia, Athens, Georgia. We had 60 acres, my grandfather's farm. He had about 12 horses on there. He had a barn. And when you have a barn in the country, you have two things in that barn. You have barn cats and you have snakes. They keep all the rodents out. My grandfather could pet the cats. Pet the barn cats. I was always very jealous of this. I couldn't pet the barn cats. I didn't know he was feeding them. That helps a little bit. But I couldn't pet the barn cats. So I had this great idea. My grandfather made for me a gun, a wooden gun. Had these little clothespins on the end of it. To tell you how far I've come at 4 or 5 years old, what I wanted to be when I grew up was a professional cat scare offer. Because what I'd go around and do around the farm is I'd take my gun and I would snap a little clothespin like that. And I remember specifically saying, "Cat, cat, I shot you dead. Now run." I filled hours of my day with this. I mean, my life was going like this, y'all. Perfect, right? Perfect. And so I played this game, bought in every day, and I promise you I was like 4 or 5, not like 18. Georgia. It was probably 18. I was really like 4 or 5. So I ran across this one cat. I ran in front of it, and I played the game. Cat, I shot you dead. Didn't move. Got a little closer. Cat, I shot you dead. Didn't move. Got a little closer. Cat, I shot you dead. Didn't move. I was as close as I am to you. And so I took my little wooden gun. Yeah, you're nervous now, aren't you? That's right, you're good, you're good. Oh! Can't even stand up. So I took my gun and nudged the cat a little bit. I was like, this isn't play. What's going on? I nudged the cat. That cat turned around, lifted his tail up, and spewed something at me I'll never forget. I could not see anything. I screamed bloody murder. Bloody murder. I didn't know what was going on. This was not supposed to happen. I dropped my gun. I screamed. My mom comes out the back porch. Mama. That's how I talked back then. Let it go. Mama. The cat squirted me. She comes in. The woman that I love, the woman that's raised me, she scoots me up in her loving arms, realizes what happens, and drops me. My grandmother comes up the back side. My mom's name is Phyllis. My grandmother said, Phyllis, what happened? What happened? And I'll never forget this as long as I live. I'm sitting there. My mom has dropped me. My grandmother's coming to find me. She'll make it okay. My mom yells, don't touch him. Got squirted by a skunk. You just got that? It was a black cat with a white stripe down the middle. I didn't ever see one of those. I wasn't Stetson FCA at the time. Right? I wasn't Stetson educated. So I took on a skunk with a wooden gun. Not a good choice. Don't recommend it for anyone here. Alright? But what happened? I thought I was the favorite. I thought I was the hero. I thought I was going to make this, get it done. It turned out that skunk had a different idea. Right? There's a soft spot in me for Goliath. Are you supposed to say that at this story? Like Goliath as a kid, you wonder what he was like when he got picked on? Could have had a horrible family. Could have had a dad that beat him, mom that left, you don't know. And this guy found his niche. And that's what he was doing. Probably had no friends. Life was probably pretty miserable for that guy. He had a soft spot. But you know what he also had? He had pride. And pride will really mess you up. Pride will really mess you up. I've got a couple passages on pride. I'll just read them for you. Proverbs 8:13. The fear of the Lord is to hate evil. The fear of the Lord is to hate evil. Pride, arrogance, perverted mouth, I hate. God says, if you have pride, I hate that. It's a strong word. Mark 7:21. From out of the hearts of men proceed evil thoughts, fornications, theft, murder, adultery, deeds of coveting, wickedness, deceit, sensuality, envy, slander, pride, and foolishness. And all of these evil things proceed from within the defiled man. Think about that list. Pretty awful list. Thieves, murderers, adultery, and pride. It's in the same category. It's in the same category. Proverbs 3:34. He mocks the proud and gives grace to the humble. Be humble. Pride blinds us from the facts. It blinds you, it blinds me, it blinds all of us. That's what happens. You get pride, you get blind. You get completely blind. You get numb to sin. There's no room for you. If you want to rock this campus for Christ, pride is out of your equation. You cannot be proud of yourself. Because if you really want to rock this campus, you're going to have to take a risk or two. Someone may make fun of you and make it uncomfortable. If you have any ounce of pride in you, you're not going to like that. You're not going to like that at all. Your pride's going to go, I don't like this. But guess what? It's not about you. You've got 4 years to change a life. You've got 4 years to live in a campus situation like this. After this, it's over. You will never live in this kind of proximity like this ever again. I know that. I'm you from the future. I'm you from the future. Check your pride. Get rid of it. So we have pride on one side, we have fear on the other. Talk about Saul. Saul had a ton of fear. I'll give you a couple attributes about fear. Fear is equal parts unknown, I don't know what's happening, and equal parts not being prepared. You ever been prepared for something? You get to the test and realize you're prepared for the wrong thing? Your heart jumps. That little jump is called fear. Right? You can be prepared, but if you're prepared for the wrong thing, bad news bears. Right? Or maybe you're just not prepared at all. That fear, before you do whatever you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to prepare for, that fear is real. You experience that. Saul found himself in a place he was not prepared. So he found himself driving people in his army. He had fear. He had servants, He was desperate. Talking about Saul, attributes of Saul. He was desperate. He wasn't a good motivator. Had to offer all these things. Didn't get it done. He commanded men whose hearts were failing. Whenever the Bible says a heart fails, it literally means a heart attack. Have you ever been so scared you had a heart attack? No, because you're all here. It happens. He didn't understand warfare. He tried to clothe David. There's an old song. It's called, I may never march in the infantry, ride in the, shoot thee. I may never fly over thee, but I'm in the Lord's army. So what did Jesus do? You named the 3 battle types. ROTC, got other stuff. 3 battle types, right? What is it? Infantry. I may never march in the infantry, ride in the cavalry, shoot the artillery. Infantry, cavalry, artillery. What was Goliath? Hand-to-hand combat? Infantry. What was David? Artillery, baby. Goliath brought a knife to a gunfight, didn't realize it was a gunfight. You tell me who the underdog is there. You should fear one thing only. Fear the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Fools despise fearing the Lord. Let's get to here. Courage. Give me 7 minutes. Courage. Courage is equal part preparation and faith in your preparation. You can be prepared, but sometimes you're not for sure you're prepared. When I got to South Carolina, we went 1-0, and 2-0, and 3-0, and 4-0, and 5. We went 16-0 out of the gates. We totally changed everything that we prepared for. Our kids kind of believed that when we were 16-0 and ranked in the top 20 in the country and 24,000 people came to see us play, they believed in our preparation. When you prepare and you see that the preparation works, holy smokes, you get courageous. You get courageous. This is not a story of an unlikely performance. If you don't hear anything I say, hear this. This is not a story of unlikely performance. This is a story of unparalleled preparation. This is not a story of unlikely performance. This is a story of unparalleled preparation, and I will prove it to you right now. When Saul saw David as an 11-year-old, do you think he just walked him out there? What do you think happened in the interim? We've got 3 basic questions for you. I'm going to tell you why this was not an upset, an underdog upset. Why does Saul let David fight? Why does David pick up 5 smooth stones? And why does David win? Why does Saul let David fight? Why does David pick up 5 smooth stones? And why does David win? It's good to study these things. Here's my thesis. Anyone have been to Israel here? Anyone been to Israel? When you think of this story, you think of the fields of Israel, right? When you hear the word fields, what do you think of? Grass blowing in the wind. You go to Israel, ain't no grass over there. It's a rocky terrain. Tending sheep in rocky terrain, mountainous terrain is not fun. The rocks are hot, it is boring. The last place David wanted to be was tending the sheep. All his brothers were doing cool stuff. David had 2 skill sets when he walked off the fields. I just said I'm a brain. I walked off the hills. He had 2 skill sets. What were those skill sets? One was what? What? Nope. Skill sets. What?
Balance.
Balance? No. I'll tell you what it is. I'll just give it to you. He can play a harp, music, and he can shoot a sling. Now you may think a sling like this. Twink. Not that at all. You have to know a thing about slingers. I see some of y'all doing it. My uncle was a missionary in Guatemala. In Guatemala, they have slingers. Let me tell you about a slinger. A slinger can hit something about this big from about 100 yards away. A slinger can hit about the size of a giant's forehead, maybe, if you will. Right? A slinger can hit a bird in flight. A slinger takes a slingshot and sees a bird in flight and can knock that bird down. So what I think happened was all the Israelites were hanging out, and they're all practicing their hand-to-hand combat going, I'm going to get killed, I'm going to get killed. And all of a sudden this 11-year-old comes and goes, hey, see that tin can right there? Bam! And they said, all right, I like this. They had not seen artillery. They were ready to, this is so stupid. I can't believe I'm out here. And then all of a sudden, he hears about this giant. And he realized at that very moment, God had me in those hills for one reason. For this moment right here. God made me artillery. They're talking about hand-to-hand combat. I got this. He ran to the front lines. Did he walk? Did he mosey? No, he ran to the front lines. Why? Because he wanted to get there, because he knew he had the answer. He saw basically a fish in a barrel. This is easy money. Don't gamble. Easy money. I don't gamble much. What's that? Never had no will. Slingers are deadly. Your boy's a slinger. Now, why does David pick up 5 smooth stones? I love this. Now, a lot of pastors, preachers will give you this sermon and say, here are the 5 points of life. Or Goliath had brothers. I don't believe that's why I picked up 5 smooth stones. My uncle showed me this. I just happen to have a prop. Guess what it is? Stones. How many? 5. Are they smooth? No. I got 5 stones right here. Now, if you had a gun and you put bullets in the gun, it's hard to do. Your thumb gets tired and all that stuff. But you take a full clip, a full magazine, proper terminology, in the gun. Let me show you how slingers pick up 5 smooth stones and what they do. They put 1 in the chamber. That's a full clip. So when you shoot a sling, you take it 2 rotations, let it fly, reload. 2 rotations, let it fly, reload. You can shoot about 5 shots in 12 seconds. That's an automatic rifle. Right? Now, what does it say? He picked up 5 smooth stones. But what did he do? Does it say he put it in his hand? Does it say he put it in his hand? It's not what the Bible says sometimes, what the Bible doesn't say. Did it say he put it in his hand? What does it say? And what was he put in a pouch? What was the pouch in? A bag within a bag. A bag within a bag. And when he approaches the giant, what does he do? He pulls out what? All 5 stones? How many pull out? 1. That cat was ready. I don't need the other 4. I'm going to leave them in my bag, which is in a bag. I got 1 stone, 1 in the chamber, Dunskies, Dunsville, destination one-way ticket. Right? Why? Because he fought for the Lord. His preparation was so incredible that he realized at that very moment, this is what I've been preparing for my entire life. This moment right here, I don't need the other 4 stones. So whenever you hear someone say, David and Goliath, the story of the underdog, I want you to say, 1 stone. That's all it took. Not 5, not 4, not 3. 1. He put 1 in the chamber, done. And then what did he do after that? The little kid picked up the sword and finished the job. Saul didn't finish the job. Saul didn't kill Agag. David said, I'm going to get this done. It's over. Dunskies. Courage. How much courage you got? You need a lot. 4 years goes by like 4 minutes. It does not matter what someone thinks of you. Now some of you may be freshmen, sophomore, I don't know where you are. Some of you feel like you're in the field. Why am I here? Why am I doing this? This is so boring. I hate this. And then all of a sudden, stay faithful. Get in your word. Redeem your time. Instagram is not that important. People are spending hours of their life, years of their life, going like this. If I told you there was a disease that when you caught it, you still stare at your hand 4 hours a day, you'd be freaked out. And that disease exists. You stare at your hand 4 hours a day. Put the thing down. Have relationship. We're the loneliest society, yet the most connected society that's ever existed in humankind. It's synthetic relationships don't get you anywhere. Take a chance, get to know someone, change a life through God. Pick your stone up and sling it. You've got to sling it. You've also got to prepare. Don't walk and face a giant unless you're prepared. Don't just think it's for everybody. It's not. 1 or 2 people, 3 or 4 maybe in this room, that's all it's needed. There's only 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 that have been prepared. A lot of you think you're prepared. You're not. You can't study for this exam the night before. It's hours and hours and hours asking for forgiveness, redeeming the time. Can you do that? Can you do that? Well done, my good and faithful servant. It doesn't say, well done, my good and good-looking servant. Well done, my good and athletic servant. Well done, my good and smart servant. You don't have to be smart. You don't have to be athletic. You don't have to be a Christian or an athlete. You don't have to learn how to fellowship here. You just got to be faithful. And David was faithful on the hills. He put a rock in a giant's forehead, and Israel was changed forever. Change Stetson. Pick up your sling, practice, and start throwing some rocks right here. Let's pray. That's right. Heavenly Father, I want to pray for this group, God. I ask that you would take this message and impress upon their heart that they may never forget there was not an underdog there, God. That when you put us in the field to prepare, that we don't fight you. That we get in the field and we practice and we practice and we practice, God. Give us the humility to take your guidance and practice. God, give us the wisdom when the giant appears. That we prepared so much, we leave the other 4 stones in the pouch. We approach the giant. We sprint towards the giant, God. God, I just ask that these students here would not care what other people think. And God, I pray right now that if there's someone in this room that does not know you, doesn't know what I'm talking about, doesn't know what we sang about, that you would reveal that to a follower of your scriptures in this room. They would seek out people that understand your word. They would go back to their dorm room, fall on the floor and go, God, something was different. I don't know what it was, but I want what you have, God. We give all this in your name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.